Hello guys, RobBat1 here, coming at you with a new Yu-Gi-Oh video. And in today's Yu-Gi-Oh video, we are going to be doing the top 10 best decks of 2018. Now we're reaching the end of 2018, and seeing as there was just so many decks this year, so many good decks, so many new decks, and just so many decks that did so well this year, I wanted to do a top 10 best decks of 2018. Now, obviously, there has been a lot of decks that have been amazing, a lot of decks that have been great, a lot of degenerate decks that have just done a lot, and I wanted to, you know, kind of talk about them, say why they were the best decks, and just give my opinions on them, because, you know, 2018 was a fun year for Yu-Gi-Oh! You know, even outside the spills where we got the Rob Shifter carries and all that other garbage, but it was a fun year to play Yu-Gi-Oh! It was fun to enjoy, and I just wanted to give my thoughts and opinions on the best decks of 2018. So, without further ado, let's get into this, because I want to talk about and give you guys my thoughts and opinions on these top 10 best decks. So, for number 10, I thought that this is one that just won't die. It's the deck that will never die, and that's Burning Abyss. Burning Abyss, definitely one of the best decks of this year in the top 10, being a deck that just never dies, always has competitive viability, always doing really well at events, taking tops, taking regionals, doing tons of things in locals. No matter what, Burning Abyss has been around, and it being number 10 is obvious. Like, there's been so many different builds of it. There's been the Kaiju build, there's been the Hydralander build, there's been the Mali build, there's been the Silkiest version. There's been so many different variants of Burning Abyss, and this deck will never die. This deck will never die. It will always be here. It will always be a deck that's played, and it is one of the best decks of 2018 because of this. Like, it's just done so much. It's done so good in events. It's topped YCSs. It's topped, I believe it topped Nationals. And it's just done so much that I have to give it the number 10 spot. But yeah, for number 9, we have True Draco. I hate True Draco, but I can't deny them being one of the best decks of 2018. At the beginning of the year, they had Masterpiece, the True Draco Slayer. Later on in the year, they got Ignis Heat back. They got Dynamite Dynista back. They got so much back this year, and they was such a good deck that could just run so many floodgates, like Rivalry that can only be one, Gozen Match, Skill Drain, any floodgate that the deck could possibly want, and this deck just honestly took so much because of it. It took games against Autogeist, it took games against Sky Striker, it took games against My Magicians. It took so much this year, and it did so much that it is one of the best decks of this year as well, being one of the top 10 best decks in the game for this year, being a floodgate deck that can utilize a ton of resource advantage as well by playing cards like Card of Demise, playing a Mono Awato to stop you from hand trapping them, playing Diagram to get to all their True Draco cards. The deck just had so much this year, plus when it had that walking towers that just pops cards and is unaffected by everything, it was annoying. But yeah, number 9 is True Draco. Number 8 is Thunder Dragons. Relatively a deck that only came out recently in Soul Fusion, but ever since the deck came out in Soul Fusion, the deck has done a lot. It's taken down Sky Strikers, it's taken down Roingo decks, it's taken down Autogeist decks, it's taken a lot of power, and it's a deck that is actually very powerful for what it does, being that even on its first event alone, it got 11 tops out of YCS, which is just amazing, seeing as it's a deck that just creates a mistake on legs and just says you can't search, and being a deck that says you can't search really does make it a deck that is in the top 10 best decks. And plus, it may be linear as hell and it may be boring to play at times, but it is one of the best decks of 2018, being in the top 10 of all the decks that we actually had this year. So number 8 is Thunder Dragons. Just being able to make a mistake on legs is pretty damn broken. Next, at number 7, we have the Roingo decks. Other decks that came out at the end of the year, for us at least, when Summon Sorceress came out. Roingo decks in general, they're decks that just focus on the warriors. They're decks that just focus on the dangers, and they just basically make Roingo Boingo and win the game through there. The reason this type of deck isn't higher on the list is because it can be easily stopped with hand traps such as Ash Blossom and Ghost Ogre and Impermanence. So it's a deck that can be hindered a lot, but it is still a very good deck because being able to make a card that says your opponent can't summon for the 2 to 3 to 4 turns, if you can get that many materials on it, well, it's a deck that will stop you. And being that it's able to utilize the dangers, being that it's able to utilize warrior decks in general, such as Goki and Dark Warrior and all sorts of things at the end of the year, Roingo decks really just are the top best decks. So number 7 is definitely Roingo. Number 6, we have Trickstar. Trickstar is definitely one of those decks that we will always hate and always want to be like, why are you gonna burn me? Why are you gonna burn me? Why are you gonna do this to me? And it's a deck that is obviously one of the most powerful decks of the year, being that it took so many events this year. It took YCS London, it took regionals, it took tons of events. Like, it's even topped multiple events. It's topped every YCS this year, I believe. Being that it's just able to utilize every card in its deck, being it's a 1-card engine of normal Candina, activate Light Stage searches Lycris, or Light Stage, Candina, search Reincarnation, Reincarnation Droll you. A deck that does something like that can basically OTK you with a Droll and Lockbird, is definitely going to be one of the best cards in this format, and one of the best decks in this format of this year, and it's done so much that it does deserve the recognition that it deserves as the 6th best deck of 2018. It's not higher because I feel like the top 5 is a lot better and just done a lot more, but the deck is something that done a lot this year, and it is a deck that it was really powerful throughout the year, even having combos such as the Firewall loop with Lilybell. But yeah, so that's the 10. Let's go into the 5. So at number 5, I have Goki. Goki as a deck in general, just having huge resource management, being able to extra link your opponent when we got Flames of Destruction because of cards like Firewall, because of the Nightmares, because of so many other resources in the deck, and just being like able to search your entire deck, and even at the end of the year, being able to Gumblar your hand for 6, being able to, and even being able to Gumblar your hand for 4 with the extra link combo, is just, this deck did so much throughout the year that it's still doing more because we got stuff like Neospatian, Neo's Connector, and using Aqua Dolphin to utilize Aqua Dolphin to actually take away hand traps. And it even took I believe it took the American Nationals as well, so it does show that this deck was able to utilize so much, and also being able to take many regionals, many I know it won a YCS. Gabe from America, I believe, who goes on Team Samurai's channel, actually took a YCS with Goki using Summon Sorceress and other cards as well. So, but in the UK, obviously, it was a lot weaker. But even though we lost Invoker, even after we lost Invoker, the deck still performed very highly, being able to extra link your opponent. So number 5 is definitely Goki, just being able to extra link your opponent, but still being able to be stopped through a lot of means such as hand traps. And also evenly matched is a card, and Raspia mode, and Kaijus. Gotta love Raspia moding a Goki player, or Kaijuing them and then evenly matching them. You gotta love it. But this deck, honestly, was one of the best decks of the year, and it deserves its recognition as well. Number four is a deck that I personally played, and you guys should know what this is. Altergeist. Altergeist was definitely one of the best decks in the year as well. Being able to utilize cards such as all the floodgates that you could imagine, such as Imperial Order, Anti-Spell Fragrance, Strike, Rivalry, Trap Trick later in the year, Mind Crush. Just being able to utilize all of this and getting the card Multi-Faker in the game gave this deck the power that it needed to be one of the best decks of the year. Having also cards such as Marionetta to summon from deck, Maleseek to just remove anything for free and search your Faker, Personal Spoofing just to get the Faker very easily and then summon the Faker, and even having a compulsory activation device on your opponent's turn from summoning it from the Faker. the card really did do a lot, and the deck just had so much power and so much potential, utilizing floodgates, utilizing compulsors, utilizing traps, and even using cards like Impermanence, which we got in the same set as Multi-Faker, to essentially say, I'm going to compulse you on turn 1, and you aren't going to be allowed to play the game. So the deck just did so much this year. It did a lot. It wasn't that bad to hand traps. At most, its worst times were when it got even lead, and to the end red rebooted, but the deck still performed very well this year, and I believe it deserves the number 4 for best deck of the year. So, yeah, number 4 goes to Altergeist. Number 3, the big 3. Third place, I have Pendulum Magicians. At the beginning of the year, Pendulum Magicians had stuff like Astrograph, Sorcerer, Starving Venom, Metal Foes, Electromite throughout the entire year, until about the end of the year where it got like killed off and put to 1. But the deck did so much this year that I believe it deserves the number 3 spot. It took the UK Nationals. It came second at the American Nationals. It was able to compete throughout the entire year. It had an FTK, 2 FTKs actually. But Pendulums had 2 FTKs this year, so it just makes sense that this deck just did so much. Plus, even without the Astrograph Sorcerer, the deck was still able to turbo through, using stuff like Mythical Beasts, using stuff like Bissector Curtain Raiser, being able to just utilize Electromite to the point where you could go through all your stuff, get everything, and still go even further. And even to the end of the year, when we got the middle of the year, when we got Wee Witch's Apprentice, giving us another Link monster to go into, and then give all our monsters a boost, and still having so much more. And then even at the end, we also got Boral Sword, giving the deck even more power, being able to just OTK your opponent even more consistently, and also being able to build a board of 5 negates every single game almost, or just OTK your opponent going second. This deck did so much this year. It had a negate board, it had an FTK board, it had a OTK board, it had a Astrograph that just gave us Electromite instantly. It had so much potential this year that the deck really does deserve to be the 3rd best deck of the year. Just being able to have so much that it utilized, being able to do so much in the year, and taking so many and topping almost every event of the year. I think there was only like one YCS that Magicians didn't top, and that event, it was like, I believe it was the week that Magicians actually lost one of their Electromites. So yeah, but that's the 3rd best deck. Let's go on to the 2nd best deck, which all of you should know is Sky Striker. Yes, Sky Striker is the 2nd best deck of the year. It's a deck that just says, I'm a plus, I'm a control, I'm going to stop you, and I'm going to continue going on. I chose this deck as number 2 purely because the amount of tops it's had, the representation it's had, the amount of people who were actually able to play it, the amount of people who won with it. Like, this deck had so much going for it throughout the year that I couldn't deny this deck being the 2nd best deck of the year, being that it just has a pot of greed in the deck that lets you search any card you want, then draw a random card. The deck can go through all resources very easily, being able to get to stuff like Widow Anchor to negate your card and then take your card. It could OTK you very easily, utilizing Widow Anchor. It could stun really easy. It had high recyclability for resources from stuff like Multi-Roll, Kagari, and Hayate to get that stuff, then recycle it. And the deck just had so much going for it this year that it definitely deserves to be the 2nd best deck. Plus, it won multiple events. It topped multiple events. I believe it had the highest top ratio of the year, being the deck that topped the most events. Well, not the most events, but had the most tops throughout the year. So being 2nd is honestly the reason why it is going to be the best deck of that in the 2nd. But what is number 1? Sky Strikers are number 2, Magicians are number 3, so on and so forth. But what is number 1? Well, the best deck of this year, which I hate to say it, is Danger FTK. Danger FTK was one of the most annoying decks of the year, being a deck that could consistently OTK your opponent, stop your opponent from playing the game, stop your opponent from doing anything, make the Azeroth to say you can't even hand trap me, and just FTK your opponent utilizing Firewall Dragon and Cannon Soldier with the Dark Worlds to essentially be able to FTK your opponent turn 1. Now, this deck was very hard to beat at times because of even in single impermanence couldn't stop it, because what they did was make Azeroth, if you ain't got the impermanence, you're lost instantly. If you do have the impermanence, well, we can just Firewall Dragon, the Cannon Soldier, or put the Firewall Dragon back utilizing Unicorn, and then from there, be able to make another Firewall Dragon, and then just OTK you still. So this deck obviously was one of the best decks of the year, is the best deck of the year, because of just the amount of sheer bullcrap that was put into it, utilizing the dangers, utilizing Firewall, utilizing Dark Worlds, and just even on its first event, there was 52, around 50, well, in the American one, it was, I don't know the exact number, but in the UK, there was about 50 players of YCS London. About I want to say 6 in the top cart was it's been a while. It's about 6 in the top. There was 6 in the top cart, and the deck still performed massively, even though we didn't have Summon Sorceress, and was still able to OTK your opponent very consistently. But yeah, guys, this is the best deck of the year. Danger FTK. I hate to say it's the best deck, but it could just do OTK your opponent so easy, stop your opponent from responding to any of your effects with stuff like Azafort, and just be able to recover very, very easily. So yeah, guys, those are my top 10 best decks of 2018. All of these decks have reason to be here. My ordering, it could be different to yours, but I feel like this is the correct order of the best decks of the year. And if I missed any decks that you think aren't on here, well, tell me in the comment section below, because I want to hear your thoughts and opinions. But honestly, guys, if I had to say what my favourite decks out of these top 10 decks were, I'd have to say Magicians, Altergeist are my favourite decks of this year. Honestly, I love Magicians to heart. It's a deck that I haven't played in a few weeks properly, but I still enjoy it. And Altergeist, I love the hell out of that deck. I still have the deck. I'm not playing it currently because I want to kind of take a break, try other things. But yeah. Guys, tell me what your favourite decks of this year were. Tell me what you think the best decks of the year were, all in the comment section below. My list might be different to yours, but this is just my personal opinion, so tell me all that in the comment section below. If you want to see more, if you enjoyed the video and want to see more videos like this, don't forget to press the like button. If you want to subscribe for more Yu-Gi-Oh content, don't forget to press the subscribe button to be subscribed to future Yu-Gi-Oh content. And if you want to be notified of any of that content or streams that I do that are normally at 8 PM UK time on Thursday afternoons, don't forget to press the notification button to be notified of that as well. But yeah, guys, great decks of this year. Honestly, all these decks have their own right place to be here, and it's fun to know that a lot of these decks will be here still. But yeah, guys, that's the video. Thanks for watching. Robot1, signing out. Later, guys. Thanks for watching, guys, and don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe on this video for more Yu-Gi-Oh videos. And check out the links in the description for the previous video, and the link to my Facebook page where you can see previous videos that I've posted there, and any other information that I may have posted there. I hope to see you guys next time, and thanks for watching.